Hello, and welcome to We Live for Saturday, your favorite college football podcast. I'm your co-host, Mike. With me, as always, is your other co-host, John. But John, we have some special guests this evening.
Yeah, we do. It's exciting.
So I want to introduce friend of the pod and returning guest host, Ryan. Good to have you back as always. Ryan is, of course, one of the forces behind the All For You pod, which is one of the great Indiana podcasts out there for sure, and one we try to reference all the time. What?
There's more of them by the day.
I'm sure. But you were on the block first. You and Crimson Cast. Crimson Cast was on the block first.
Some August men of letters, Galen Clavio comes to mind with Crimson Cast, but I'm happy to, I try to carve out a niche and not copy everybody else. We did make the pod originally just because we felt like our particular brand of IU fandom wasn't being particularly vocalized. So I always try to stay in that special lane where we're doing our own thing.
Absolutely. We appreciate that. And yes, and obviously Galen is a good friend of the pod and he was on the block first. So we appreciate Galen a lot. He was nice enough to come on the show last summer. And he and you and first we'll get into, and Chris is on the pod as well. It's really good to have you on. Chris has been is an Indiana alum and big time Twitter personality. So where can we find you on Twitter, Chris?
You can find me, Mama Kamish is kind of the name, but, at Hoosier Mama 77, I believe.
There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, great follow for all things Indiana and has a really interesting history as an Indiana fan. And John, I know that's where we both kind of want to go next, right? Mm-hmm. And ask these two a little bit about what it's like to be a fan of the Indiana Hoosiers, both over the years and like now in this moment when you're about to play for a national title in football.
Yeah.
Feels like a dream.
The Big Ten champion, Indiana Hoosiers. The Rose Bowl champion, Indiana Hoosiers. And now perhaps the national champion, Indiana Hoosiers. There we go. Got the towels out. Love it. Love that.
We've become a towel school.
Exactly.
I love that.
I'm bummed I didn't get my Peach Bowl one because I don't know. They didn't hand them out on our seats like they said. And people were grabbing them and stuffing them in their pocket. And they're on, eBay for like $75. And now the new Natty one is already on eBay for $200. And I don't even have mine yet.
I saw someone tweet out that somebody's trying to pawn it off for $1,000.
Come on. Somebody's going to pay $1,000.
Ticket prices. That's just
kind
of the going
rate. They're going to buy the tickets, right? Yeah, whatever. It's irritating, but I have a friend that got an extra that they're going to give me. So
there we go.
I'll get my Peach Bowl towel.
That's exciting. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
We are a little jealous, needless to say.
A little jealous. A little jealous. That's an understatement, John. We're really jealous. We've got Mildew Danger says who, and Hoosiers.
Hoosiers. Absolutely. Yep.
For sure. That is. And Kinetic, love Kinetic, good friend of the pod. Kinetic also a great Michigan podcaster himself. Says, "What's up, guys? Go Blue!" And I'm glad Eric walked in right now because I was saying that John and I were talking offline, and the thing about Signetti and we'll go to your history as in the let's go to that first. We'll go. This will be waiting for it. But I do want to talk about Signetti, obviously, when we get there. But let's start out, Chris, with you. How did you, become an IU fan? Was it going to school there? Did it start before that? Like, what was, the genesis of your fandom and how's that developed over the years?
Well, I grew up the first part of my youth, I guess you could say, in Illinois. So, and I was nowhere near Chicago, but where I lived, you were either an Illinois fan or an Iowa fan. So I was right on that Illinois-Iowa border. And of course, my dad was, Cubs fan. We were Illini fans. I remember when they went and I'm trying to think what year it was. Illini fans are going to be mad at me, but it was when, was it Jack Trudeau?
Was that like 1990?
Oh, no. It was in it had to have been early 80s, maybe.
Okay. Sure.
I'm forgetting his name. Anyway, I wore a Rose Bowl, Illinois sweatshirt, but then we moved to Indiana when I was about 15. Northwest Indiana, though, still Chicagoland for people that know. And I don't know. My dad was always a Bobby Knight fan, though, even though we were Illinois people. So we moved to Indiana. So I ended up going to school there, and I was always a cheerleader. So I tried out. Took me a couple times, but I made it. So my sophomore year, I actually got to cheer for football and basketball Hoosiers.
That's so
my freshman
that's so
year.
fun.
My freshman year, I mean, people went to the game. It was seniors, sophomores, juniors, freshmen, and so I was at the very top. And we beat Michigan that year at homecoming. We beat Ohio State. It might have been there that year, but we won. It was the darkest day in Ohio State history, apparently. And then we beat them home and away, and then we tied them for homecoming my senior year. So to me, this is just how it was, right? Like, I just thought we were competitive, and we went to bowl games, and I just thought that's the way it was. And then I became an alumni and realized, well, it's not the way it was. So I have my Hefner pin. I thought he was going to be the one. And I think he could have. He came out his first press conference with a rose in a glass or a crystal bowl. And so I think he kind of was the mold we were looking for. And yeah. And then I've just had season tickets since I got out, and I've been to them all. Rain, snow, you name it. I was there and watched a lot of bad football and had a lot of embarrassing games. But you know, we never wavered. We kept buying tickets. So that's paying off now because I'm able to get tickets through IU and not off the secondary market. So
that's great.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And you know, it's really interesting. John and I, we did it was either last summer or the summer before, but we did a 15-year span, like the previous 15 years. How had all the Big Ten teams done in football? And Indiana had a winning percentage of 35%. From like 2009 to 23. And I don't mean in conference. I mean overall.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So that's, I mean, when you're talking about that kind of winning percentage, then you're winning 1 to 2 conference games a year at most.
And usually it was either Northwestern or Purdue. And then Northwestern got really good in that time frame as well. I was even a part of the Big Ten Fan Council when it first came out, when the channel first came out. My ex-husband was on it, and it's a 2-year stint. And then I'm like, well, you don't have any female voices. We watch your channel too. You might want to know what things we want to see, or, our opinions. And so I got to be on it for 2 years, and we got to go to the football media day and tour the studio and all of that, and then we had a meeting for the basketball championship and Big Ten championship. And we got to go to that, have a meeting, give our feedback, and then go to that later in the day as well. So, I was kind of a part of when that channel first came out as well.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you've really had your hand in Hoosier history in a meaningful way. That's really awesome. And I've seen the photographic evidence on social media of the cheerleading.
Yes.
So we know that happened. There's no question about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
True.
That's great. That's really cool. Well, thanks for
long
that.
Long time ago, but it sticks with you. So
is anything that long ago though? That's the thing I realize as time goes by. Like everything feels pretty close to everything else. We don't live that long. We're not reptiles. We're not tortoises. We're not here for 300 years. Anyway, that's a whole different podcast.
It is. We know our age, but we still feel in some way like we're still that person inside.
Yeah. And that's I'm sure that's part of the allure of college football. And that's an interesting insight in and of itself. Yep. Ryan, what about you? You and you're sporting a really impressive mustache, I have to say.
Oh, thank you. I thought you were talking about the sweater
mustache you got going.
The mustache is actually, so I swear I'm really not this superstitious of a person until it comes to football season. And we've documented on the show, I have a series of increasingly intense neuroticisms when it comes to watching football. One of the lower grade ones is I don't shave the mustache until IU loses, or until I want to flush the bad luck out of the mustache. So this is carrying 15 wins in it right now. The most I've done is trimmed it up to be presentable, but it's growing out.
This is what makes college football great, is doing ridiculous things like this. Like this is
So what's your plan if they don't lose? Does it become like Civil War level? Does it get bigger?
Waxing it up?
Like, I like the look of it like this, with it like nice and rectangular, but I've talked this with my girlfriend. When it happens, I have to flush and repeat. You know, there is a certain level of, if you let your superstitious neuroticisms control you, you have to control them. So it's like trying to find a new piece of lucky clothing every year. You can't go back to the old one. Lord knows, after 2020, I had my lucky set of underwear, I had my lucky everything, and it did not work in 2021. So I have learned to flush and rediscover little things to do during the year, and this is a good one.
Yeah,
love it.
We have some dissent in the chat, Ryan. Hughesman says, lies. He's had that mustache since Bobby Knight threw that chair across the floor. I feel like, I don't know.
He was alive then.
I was going to say.
No, I'm not that old.
I was going to say.
Wait, sorry. I don't mean it like that.
Okay. I know how old I was, and there's no way you were born yet.
So
because I was young, but youngish.
So, Mike, we have to grow mustaches for next year. That's the whole thing, I guess.
I won't do facial hair, man.
Well,
that's where I draw the line.
You got to try. You want a national title, man. This is what you got to do.
That's what I have to do.
Go to any lengths, right?
Yeah.
But then if we don't, though, I'll be so angry about it.
I'm willing to try it. I'll give it a shot.
I just get itchy, man. I get itchy with it. I always have with the facial hair thing. And no matter how clean you keep it and no matter how much you groom it, I just feel like it's itchy.
There are definitely days, believe me. And I just cleaned up a lot of the stubble. My girlfriend, actually, she hates the mustache. She likes the stubble. But the stubble is the one that I find to just be the most insufferable. Like, I got to get this clean in order to just feel, at peace.
She hates it, but tolerates it. That's love.
No, she genuinely does. Like, I think that she does like the girlfriend thing where she wants me to not look good. And there's an element of like, I don't want him to look too good. I don't want him to look too fresh.
You don't want to be you don't want to suddenly feel like you're being competitive. Like, why?
She wants me to look lived in. All right.
Yeah.
I'm putting on pounds.
If you get a little too well groomed, as you're saying, she's gonna get suspicious.
Not suspicious. She just has preferences.
Okay. Fair enough. Right on.
All right. It's a mustache podcast now, I guess.
Yeah.
Or facial grooming. Yeah.
Ryan, background. You were born into the Hoosier hood, or
no? Farthest from it. I was born Southside Chicago, 144th and Dearborn. Same neighborhood that Antoine Randall is from. Shout out Riverdale, Illinois.
Okay.
That might be a bit of a dox. I don't know. But no college football fandom in my life. No one in my family. My dad went to a directional Illinois school that wasn't particularly good at football. My mom went to, I think, like an NAIA school in Iowa.
Interesting.
So there was not really a college fandom of any kind in my family. And the people around me who were college fans were fans of Notre Dame. And even from like a nascent age, I just found them to be fairly insufferable. So I, when that national championship rolled around, I cheered for Bama. My little me in grade school was running around, chasing around the Notre Dame fans saying "Roll Tide, roll." And I had the last laugh there. Then I go to Indiana. I enroll in Indiana, fall in love with the school like everyone does, and fall in love with football. Basketball has never really been my sport that I'm like obsessive over. I love IU hoops, but I don't pretend to even be a ball knower in that. I do pretend to be a ball appreciator in football. And football was a thing that I gravitated towards. And there was something about being a Bears fan, a fan in scare quotes, during that time, and then being an IU football fan where it's like, well, these are both miserable experiences, but there's just something about the struggle and the razor's edge feeling that every game in football matters in terms of this large scale pecking order, hierarchy. You can inch up, you can inch down. It means something. Whereas it's like, oh, the Bears are just going to suck for 5 years and then eventually get a high enough draft pick to waste it. And then they have to suck again for 5 more years. And we're finally at a cycle where that's broken. But there was just something special about caring about Indiana football that really just like got its claws into me. And I was there for the Kevin Wilson years, the tail end of the Kevin Wilson years and the beginning of the Tom Allen years. And it was Tom Allen more than Kevin Wilson that really just kind of made me think about, why can't we be good at football? And then that was the thing that spurred me into researching Indiana football's past, the tragic, multiple tragedies that led towards Indiana's multiple football dark ages. And just as I was a grad, not a grad, but after I had finished undergrad and I was a young alumni, a recent alumni living in Chicago, there was just this frustration of, we're the second largest alumni base in the country. We have a championship level appetite for collegiate athletics in every sport except for the most important one, right? We're a blue blood in soccer, men's soccer. We're a blue blood in men's basketball. We're good at women's basketball. There's swimming. We had Mark Spitz. Like there's an appetite for athletics in Indiana that is just so. There's such a cognitive dissonance whenever you bring up football, and it drove me insane. And that's when 2019 rolls around, and there's 9 Indiana. Shout out Kyle Robbins, and then the 2020 season and everything that came with that, and then the feeling that we were finally going to be getting over this generational struggle, and then. Those next 3 years were just intensely brutal. And I was a part of the online fan base that kind of tried to hold it all together, tried to hold the fan base together, and just devising increasingly desperate ways for us to just reach a bowl game. And it got to a level of frustration to where me and my friends were like, we're sending treatises in our group chats. Let's just make a podcast. And so going into the 2023 season, we entered that season with kind of the impetus of like, we want to hope that Tom Allen saves his job. And 2, we want our podcast to start this, like what we thought was going to be a multi-generational struggle to force the Indiana athletic department and then the school itself to take football seriously and invest in football and make serious football decisions. And we did 1 season of difficult football, and then it was Kurt Signetti, and the rest of it has just been us throwing up our hands and going like, well, would you look at that?
Yeah. So that's really great. Thanks both for sharing that. I
will say one thing though. 2 things. 1, I did not get a call back for my attempt to join the cheerleading team. And 2, I am not totally divorced from Indiana football in my past. Weird wrinkle. My great grandfather Brunislav, or as his friends knew him as Barney, he's got a very, very weird history. He fought in World War I, obviously in the United States Army. He was collecting U.S. dollars while being in a stay-behind force in Poland for a while. But then his cousin ran a speakeasy in the United States. He ends up coming over and settles in Northwest Indiana, I believe around Cedar Lake. And because to him, Cedar Lake and that area of Indiana, so flat, so featureless, it reminded him of the old country. And he's got a whole collection of weird stories. At like age 85, he went missing because him and his other octogenarian friend found out that they were finding truffles in like Southwest Michigan. And so they went truffle hunting like they were in the old country or something. But he moves there in like the 60s or the 50s, and he goes completely local, and he becomes a huge Indiana football fan just in time for the John Pont trip to the 1967-68 Rose Bowl. And so, great grandpa Brunislav just like completely went crimson and crimson. Like, oh, can you believe they call us Hoosiers? It means like hillbilly or something, And so that is, and nothing ever came of it. Never said, hey, to his kids, like send your kids to Indiana. But
interesting.
What do you know? Prodigal son returns from exile. Multi-generations later, I am now closing that loop in my family's history.
Wow.
There you go. Love that. No, and the Signetti thing. Oh, first of all, Nittany Nation Mish in the chat saying Indiana over Miami 34-21. So I could see that potentially.
Your lips to God's ears.
Indiana, funny enough, ruined PSU's natty chances in 1994, dropped to number 2 after a 6-point win over IU. That is a deep cut. Not a game that you lost to IU, a game that cost you in the rankings. Forced to play in the Rose Bowl instead of the natty, which again is really the dream anyway, playing in the Rose Bowl. But, that's just me. So
I agree.
That's interesting. As far as the Signetti thing, let's talk about it. 25-2, or 25
26, I think, because if he
26
finishes
now,
this, it'll be 27 because it'll be 16 plus 11.
Or I guess just the 2. Yeah, just the 2.
Yeah.
That's wild in 2 years. So he went, Signetti he's kind of, I was thinking about it, and what he is he's a really good cautionary tale against always hiring the younger coach, because ADs always want to hire younger coaches because they think they're going to be better at recruiting. But sometimes the older coaches are better at coaching because they've been doing it longer, and they've been through the wars, and they've seen all the different coverages and all the different strategies, and like seen how that goes for different teams. And there's just a pattern recognition that you get from doing something for as long as Curt Signetti has been doing it. And I think you see it in the way he coaches and the way he evaluates talent. And that's where his genius, is he a good X's and O's coach? Yeah, he's absolutely a good X's and O's coach. But his genius is the way he evaluates talent. And I remember Glenn Mason, former University of Minnesota coach, said that to him, the greatest he ever worked with at evaluating talent was Nick Saban. And Curt Signetti, of course, started his rise to the top as Nick Saban's recruiting coordinator. And that's how I know. That's why I knew from the beginning. I said Signetti was going to succeed. Now, I didn't say this was going to happen, but I said Signetti was going to succeed because I was like, he built those early Saban dynasty teams, and those teams were absolute juggernauts. They had the best people at every position, 2 to 3 deep.
Julio Jones, crazy. He was also the wide receivers coach at that time.
Right? Yeah. And just the way they were built on the line of scrimmage, and the speed and size and talent throughout. Yeah, all that stuff was really amazing. So now you've got Signetti, and he's not only is he a great coach, but he's a great coach who seems lined up to stay in Bloomington long term.
Amazing.
And Mark Cuban just came out recently and said he spent more money this year than he spent last year. And you could see Indiana did really well in the transfer portal. So this doesn't seem like it's going to just be a cute story. It feels like at least, and potentially past it also, but like at least as long as Signetti's in town, seems like Indiana's going to be around, going to be a force.
And this is what drove us crazy as IU fans for so long, was just knowing that if you imagined what would be the bones of a football school, right, of huge alumni base, cares about athletics, you have a mass of normal donors, large donors, and then hyper donors like a Mark Cuban and others. You would assume that, especially if they're inside the wealthiest and highest exposure conference in football, or, depending on the year, 1 or 2, like that school would be a football school. And there was just no reason other than generations of deliberate neglect by the university from the top down towards the football program. There are quotes of former athletic directors who said that they preferred basketball because it was cheaper. It was cheaper to have a good basketball team than a good football team. And in the most like state of Indiana personality kind of way, very like sweater vesty accountant kind of decision making, they decided to go with the lower cost sport. And there's other reasons for that. I mean,
there's also a unique relationship that the state of Indiana has to basketball.
Yeah.
But we could talk about all the different like butterfly wings, like Bo McMillan, the one that the 1945 season where we win the Big Ten, the year before the Big Ten Pac-12 Rose Bowl agreement happened. So we don't get to go to the Rose Bowl. That started the next year. But he ends up leaving Indiana to go to the NFL and dying 2 years later. And then as the year he dies is, I believe, the first year Branch McCracken wins a national championship for basketball at Indiana. So in this strange twist of fate, Indiana, you can see in the rings of the tree, or maybe I'm mixing my metaphors here, but you can see the moment where Indiana goes from maybe an overall athletic school to we are just going to focus solely on basketball.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, we've seen what can happen when schools focus in the wrong way.
Yep.
Our own Minnesota decided to after fighting to be a helmet school for 80 years, decided to take a step back from the arms race in the 70s, right as it ramped up in really through the 90s. And they didn't start meaningfully, working to compete until the turn of the century. And we've seen they've done, well and built something, but it's crazy to build what Indiana's built so fast. And I think that's what, that's why I say Cignetti isn't just the best coach in college football right now. He's the best coach in the modern history of college football, because Nick Saban didn't win a title at Michigan State.
It's true. It's very true.
Urban Meyer didn't win, and that didn't win any titles at Bowling Green. Or, he went undefeated at Utah, but he didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like,
he didn't finish.
They didn't prove that they could take a school that had struggled the way Indiana has. I think the crazy thing is that you guys have done something that I've been waiting for someone to do for a long time, that I'm happy about. And longtime antagonist of the podcast, Bud Elliott. But Elliott did listen to that one episode. Remember, he tweeted at us, and I was like, I said that 45 minutes in. You listened to a whole episode of our podcast. Thank you for doing that.
I was one of the many casualties of a Bud Elliott blocking spree. As he deliberately misrecounted the events at the end of the Illinois game. So I had a pretty tame thing. He was just mass blocking anyone that was engaging with it. So it's like, it is what it. Listen, if you're that big of a content creator, I don't hold anything against him personally, but because it's like, you can imagine the stuff that he's getting in his DMs is just insane.
Yeah, but he's soft. You're right. He's soft.
Yeah.
Like he's going to block a bunch of people who didn't really even say anything to him. He's soft. It's fine.
He did the same to me.
You could also mute people, Bud. Yeah. There's the thing too. You can just mute people, and then it's
mute
like
words. Lord knows you need to do that a lot on Twitter.
But anyway, he got on us because we compared Kirk Ferentz to Kyle Whittingham. And we are like, their track records are like actually pretty similar.
Yeah.
Except for Ferentz played in a tougher league where it's a little harder to get to the top. And he thought that was like an outrageous thing to say. And I was like, well, he got to play in the big blah, 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 whatever.
The Big Ten West. No, he started locking on the Big Ten West is what it was.
He did. Of course he did. But because he's Bud Elliott. But I think it's funny to even hear Bud Elliott's whole thing is the blue chip ratio. That's what made his name as a college football commentator. The idea that you need to have at least 50% 4- and 5-star recruits to win a national title.
Yeah.
And Indiana does not have anywhere near 50%. Like, they have a lot of great players, but like they weren't originally raised, And I'm not talking about transfer portal rankings. I'm talking about like out of high school rankings.
Yeah.
They don't have a bunch of 4- and 5-star.
So
I think zero stars. Some 0 stars playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is a good lead into a discussion about Cignetti and a discussion about like what Indiana's run actually means for the sport. Yes, the blue chip ratio, Indiana is such
You shattered it.
It shatters, but if you look into what the blue chip ratio is trying to say, it makes a little bit more sense. So like recruiting rankings, they're when you get a recruiting ranking from one of these websites, which mind you, these are recruiting websites for fans. No coaching staff worth its salt should ever be looking at these recruiting sites. They should have their own big boards. And I think part of the problem with a lot of places in the country is that a lot of these bigger schools have started to use these recruiting sites as shopping lists, not just because they're lazy or anything, but because their massive and engaged fan bases are pouring over these fan sites. And if you lose the number 2 prospect in your state to, especially like an in-state rival, they will be
bad PR.
They will be
Bad PR.
burning down the building. Yeah. And
Mm-hmm.
that used to be a positive feedback loop before the transfer portal, because that held the feet to the fire of these coaches to make sure they're going out and they're winning these big recruiting battles. But those recruiting rankings are trying to measure a high schooler's likelihood to get drafted to the NFL. That is what
Right.
that measurement is supposed to say.
It's not about
there's 32
what they are as a
five-stars because
college
there's
player.
32 first-round picks. And then you can say that Bud Elliott's blue chip ratio is meant to say, how full is your roster of future NFL players? Which, again, that makes sense. The team with more NFL players, it's college. They're probably going to win over the team that doesn't have that. The thing that Indiana has done, and through Curt Cignetti's expert talent evaluation and the new tools or new technologies, if you will, of the transfer portal and NIL and everything along with that, is that if you go to PFF and you look at their big board, they have 8 Indiana players listed on the big board for PFF, right? Like there are, and those are just the guys eligible this year. There are guys all over the place, whether they're from James Madison, because Lord knows a lot of them are from James Madison, the ones that are going to the NFL, Elijah Surratt, Aiden Fisher, D'Angelo Pons. You could just, you could keep thinking about them. Or the ones that they've developed internally, Isaiah Jones, Charlie Becker, all these guys. There are NFL players on this team. And so to think about it in terms of 4 and 5 stars is outdated, and it's going to take time and a lot of money and investment for these fan recruiting sites to finally start to move in a direction where they can again start to give some kind of value add to fans in terms of tracking the actual talent levels on these teams.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really interesting point. Chris, what do you think the Curt Cignetti era, like what is it meant for you as a fan? Like how do you feel, how does it feel to be, in the era of Cignetti, an Indiana fan?
It's insane. I mean, I couldn't in the past get people to go to games with me, like for free. My friends, come with me. Why don't you? No, it's okay. And I sometimes with 4 tickets went by myself.
Right.
And couldn't get my friends to go, let alone anybody pay me to go. So then all of a sudden people are like, oh, if you have any extra tickets, I'm like, nope, don't, because we're going all the time and we're using all of the tickets. So there aren't any leftover tickets. So, I mean, like we talked about going to the UCLA game last year, we thought, well, UCLA's joining the conference. It's the first time we've played them. What a fun time to go out there. Let's just go. And I kept saying, this is probably this might be, I didn't say probably, I was trying to be open and optimistic, but we still didn't know what we had because we just had our preseason, or
right.
non-conference, not preseason, non-conference. So we thought, okay, this is our first conference game. We still don't know how we will, pan out against the conference. So we thought, let's just go, beautiful area. I've always wanted to see the Rose Bowl, and it's could be the only chance we get to play in the Rose Bowl. So it ended up feeling like a mini bowl game to me. We had a lot of fans there. They didn't. We were so excited and loud and proud, and we met so many people, and it felt like a mini bowl game. And then who would have thought a year later we actually went to the Rose Bowl game,
And didn't just go.
No, I know. We won that.
You won big.
Well, and I had a little bit of, everybody was all upset about the rain. It never rains. It hasn't rained like this in like 20 years, never at the game. And so I kind of put that in as like a good omen for us, the superstition thing, because my son and his dad, my ex, who I'm good friends with, we sit together, he and his wife and me and my boyfriend, we all sit together. We used to trade off 4 for you this game, 4 for me this game. And we want to go to all of them. So rather than doing that, let's just sit together. Great. So, but he and his dad went to Oregon this year, and I wasn't able to go because I already had some plans. But, they kept saying it never rains at Autzen Stadium. It never does. And it did. And, we won that game. So to me, I thought, maybe raining at the Rose Bowl is signifying a new chapter in college football. Like nobody expected this. This is, the rain was a good omen to me. And so then we were, last weekend in Atlanta, and, it started raining, and I thought, okay, I don't mind it. let's go. That's a good sign for us. So, if it happens to rain in Miami, I would like it a little bit because I feel like if we don't have any rain, it could be
This is getting
bad.
Shakespearean.
Yes.
So you're saying that Indiana is the storm, essentially.
Yes.
You're bringing it. I love that. I love
Hurricane Mendoza is coming. There's all kinds of
that.
Hurricane Mendoza.
Before we get out of here, we should talk Mendoza too. He won the Heisman. I mean, Indiana's never had a Heisman winner before.
Yeah.
What's it been like to be on the Fernando Mendoza train and watch a guy who's thrown more touchdowns than incompletions in the playoffs?
He's amazing. And everybody, you'll have people jump on and say, oh, he's such a nerd. No way is this kid going to win the Heisman. He really hasn't done much. He is a nerd. He's a football nerd. And they thought that he's like scripted. I said, if you go back and see him, there was a clip going around of him in high school getting interviewed. And he's the same kid. He hasn't wavered. He hasn't changed. And I think he's a very good role model, good testament to really the kind of leader you want for your team. And, there was a guy from another team out there that kind of showed his backside out there. And, that's not who I would want. I want a Fernando Mendoza.
You can call him out. It's fine. We're not.
Yeah, you call him out by name.
We're not here to
Pavia.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, no, he was very upset. He had to walk back. He had to apologize for his behavior. He was so out of line, and it wasn't even a very good apology because, of course, it wasn't because he doesn't.
It was like a Chat GPT apology.
Yeah.
You know what? Diego Pavia is going to reappear. I'm convinced.
Podcast.
Can he talk that well? I don't know. I was gonna say actually
wrestling,
Olympic flag football.
Okay.
Like if the NFL players don't want to play all of them, and we're like dealing with because they don't want to get hurt. Like maybe it's a Diego Pavia because I don't know because he's not going to play in the NFL.
No.
Maybe he can play in the CFL. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We'll see how it goes for him. But yeah, it was weird to come out and be anti-Indiana. He was like anti the voters and like F the voters and F Fernando Mendoza. It's like, dude, you finished second. Like that's still really good.
Yeah.
You didn't see Ashton Genty be like, throw a hissy fit when he lost to Travis Hunter. He just was like, oh, well, I got close.
Yeah.
Did a good
I
job.
feel bad for Josh Hoover, who's going to be coming in next year. Like, I'm super excited to see him. I think he's going to be great. But, man, you talk about a tough act to follow. Like, that's what we thought about Fernando Mendoza coming in this year because
after Curtis Rourke, I was going to say, are you going to come back? Are you going to come back to me next year like you and Galen both did and tell me that you're going to be better at every position and then you end up being right?
There's some, yes. I mean, there's some, yes, in terms of just like you look at the acquisitions in the transfer portal, especially on the defensive line. There's some scary dudes that we're getting. I'm very interested to see how it shakes out. We're losing a lot of really important players. We lost a few important players last year or coming into this year. But I mean, losing Pons, losing Fisher, losing Kamara, like there's a lot of guys who are out the door that it's just like,
And that's why it's cool you get one more game to watch them all in.
It's true.
Did Pons already say he's not coming back? He can.
Pons hasn't said anything. He has the ability to if he wants to.
Yeah.
Only a true junior, by the way. For all the talk about Indiana's team being full of AARP members, D'Angelo Pons is a true junior All-American corner as 5'9", $170. So
he's special.
Again, it's a kudos to Kurt Cignetti's talent evaluation ability.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, and you know what? Pons he's been every bit the equal of every receiver, whether it's been, DeCorian Moore, or we're talking about Jeremiah Smith or Carnell Tate or, whoever it is, D'Angelo Pons has stood tall. And I think he's going to stand tall against Malachi Toney. So
we'll see. We'll see how often they put Toney on Pons just because Pons is actually a boundary corner and Toney is a slot guy is he? He is the slot guy.
I mean, they move him all over.
But I mean, listen, I'm super excited to see what Haynes has cooked up for this one. I know I have a little bit of information about just how excited the team is for this game, how rearing to go they are. And for all the talk of like Miami fans saying like spot the ball on Twitter, like the team is genuinely chomping at the bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know why Miami fans would talk any trash. They don't show up to their own games.
Well, we'll
I'm not. I'm
see.
sorry. I'm not going to give them any credit until that's how I feel about Northwestern fans. I don't want to hear from you.
I'm curious to
don't
see
show
the
up to your own
ratio
stadium.
in the stadium because we've had a massive crew that has shown up. I mean, we outnumbered Alabama a lot, and then poor Oregon. I mean, it was very minuscule, to be
That was
honest
a
with
tough
you.
one.
So this will be interesting to see Miami in their backyard if their fans, show up the way ours will. I mean, we still have people, as you probably know, on Twitter in our group, different groups, our Hoosier groups. They're still holding out for they're still trying their hardest to get there, and
Mhm.
I hope that it happens.
One of my co-hosts, Indiana Edits, Chris, he runs a lot of the road trip group chats, and there's so many people joining them that Twitter keeps banning him, or Twitter keeps suspending him because they think that he's doing like botted like behavior of like
Yeah.
like non-terms of service behavior, just having all these people in his DMs. It's a huge outpouring of support.
It is. I can't keep up with it. I mean, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't,
No, and
I'm
I don't
at
want to
school
vent
all
about
day and I
Twitter,
try
but
peak, but I can't, I can't keep up with stuff right now, which is a good thing.
Oh yeah,
It's
it's
a good
been
thing.
really special. It's been
Yeah.
like, honestly, these last few games, it's been more like less like football games and more like an extended coronation.
Yes.
And my
Yes.
question is against Miami. So let's turn to that now. Turn to the national title game. I want to, before you we'll get you, and we appreciate your time. We will get you out of here. I'm curious about each of your takes for the national title game. Who wins? What do you have for like a score prediction? And like, what are your any thoughts you have going into it?
I'll start because I won't have as much of the knowledge and percentages of the team, the two teams, but I have a lot of PTSD, and it's a lot of deprogramming that I have to do from all these years. And most recently, going to the Gator Bowl, and we had Tennessee down with like, I mean, that was just we Indiana'd that game. I mean, we totally gave up so many points at the end. And so even though we were at a bowl game, we had a blast. There's just so much deprogramming that I have to do. I'm always hopeful and I always think, yeah, we really got a shot. But even in games this season, I'm like, oh, I'm so nervous. And my son, who some of you know, and my boyfriend, they're like, oh, we got this. We're going to clobber them. Like, even at the Illinois game, I'm like, oh, you think? And then sure enough, we did. Oh, Penn State game. I mean, I couldn't watch at the end. We were at a sports bar in Chicago, an Indiana sports bar. And I couldn't watch. We got it. We got it. So I'm always, those two are always talking me off the ledge, and they've been right every time. Oh, we're going to clobber Alabama. Oh, we've got Oregon, but we thought it'd be closer. So I try not to try to put out in the universe what I think is going to happen. I hope we win. I have no idea on score because I just don't put it out there because I wait for it to come. I am worried about it being in their backyard, and they are very physical and athletic, but they're prone to some mistakes where we've been pretty disciplined. So I hope it comes down to, if it is close, the team that makes less mistakes, and of course I think defense wins championships, and our defense has proven to kind of be that catalyst into some of our games, being such a big marginal victory. So
Well, I mean, that's the thing that I've noticed so much. Like, I know everybody talks about Fernando Mendoza. Everyone talks about Chris Ignati's ability to win, clearly, what have you. But like, the fact that this team is so mistake-free more often than not, that level of discipline is very difficult to achieve for any football team. I don't care who your head coach is. I don't care how long you've been playing the game. If you're a fourth, fifth year senior, all that kind of stuff, like, that's really hard to accomplish. And again, that's just another tribute to Kurt Ignati. That's another tribute to the success of this team and their focus on what their goal is. And it's incredible.
Indiana doesn't turn the ball over. They don't commit penalties. And John and I were talking about it in our most recent podcast, and we were saying that Fernando Mendoza is like playing the video game on Heisman, because he like just doesn't ever make the wrong choice ever. It's like he's gonna hit the guy, and if he gets to scramble, he'll scramble because he's a freak. He's 6'5", he can run faster than you think, And if he has to throw it away, he'll do that and live to fight another down.
Yep.
And like, he's just going to make the right decision all the time.
Yep.
That's invaluable. That's invaluable.
He took a big hit at the start of that Big Ten championship game, and the air was just literally sucked out of Lucas Oil Stadium. We were all like, and then he goes out and comes back in, and he said, "There's no way I was not coming back in that game." And sure enough, he did. And
yeah, he's a special player. It's been a lot of fun watching him play all year.
Yeah.
And you know what? When Indiana does make mistakes, or when we do turn the ball over, the thing that has deprogrammed a lot of that same behavior, that those same feelings of like, oh, here it comes for me, has been just how they responded.
Yep.
Yes.
There was some statistic, I think, between the Iowa, Oregon, and Penn State games. Fernando Mendoza answered threw an interception in the fourth quarter, but responded to each of those with a game-winning drive.
Yeah.
And that is that type of not intangible, championship DNA stuff that you hear thrown around, and you're like, okay, whatever, until you see it. And then it's like, oh my God, that's incredible. Whether it is a turnover or it is some kind of penalty knocking us into 1st and 20, just watching this team respond, watching them go about it as if it were any other down. It really is so fantastic to see happen.
We used to play not to lose, and now we're actually playing to win. And so it's working.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love that about Cignetti. He goes for the jugular because that's a skill. Football teams develop reflexes over time.
So that's
going for teams, finishing teams in a strong way is something that, and I'm not saying he throws it too much or anything. It's just running his offense. He'll run the ball, all that kind of stuff, but there's no let up.
Right.
It's there's no
there's a little bit of an interesting development of Curt Cignetti and on his own weird hero's journey throughout all of this. The 20 years or so he spent as a position coach, then the crash course in the Nick Saban School of Scouting and Program Running, and then 15 years coming up through the mud from D2 all the way up. When he was at James Madison fans hated him because he was a take the foot off the gas type of coach. He was a turtle and let a team come back type of guy. Curt Cignetti has kind of let a little bit out into the media where a lot of the aggression in terms of thinking back to the Big Ten championship game, that deep shot to Charlie Becker to close out the game on third down. That call is coming from Mike Shanahan. That's and if it did come from Curt Cignetti, it's because Mike Shanahan has kind of rewired the way that Curt Cignetti thinks and his flow of the game. He's attributed a lot of that go for the throat mentality to him. The running up the score stuff, which is what I got blocked by Bud Elliott for disputing, that is just when the second and third string guys come in during a blowout, there is no drop off in effort. Right. There is no drop off in execution. And looking back to that Illinois game, our fourth string running back at the time scored 2 fourth quarter touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's going to be a stud in the future, but that is just, we are playing Nick Saban murder ball.
It's true.
With a Heisman level quarterback, which is the terrifying thing.
Yeah, this team is very Saban-esque in the way it doesn't make mistakes, the way you run the ball and stop the run, all those limit tough situations, limit third and long, all that kind of stuff. It's all amazing. All right, but Ryan, I got to get you back on track before I get you out of here. Score, national title game. Who you got, and what do you think?
Well, it's a hard match. No, I've got the Hoosiers, but I have the Hoosiers because I'm a homer. If I was a neutral party, I would be one of the chorus of people saying how is this spread 8.5?
You think it's too much, huh?
Miami's a good team.
Yeah,
Miami's I think that a lot of the Vegas models are cooking in way too much of their mid-season form before they decided to say, hey, we're not going to put the ball in the hands of Carson Beck or to win the game. He'll get the ball, but we're not going to put the game in his hands.
No, but they're running to beat you.
Yeah, they're playing bully ball. They stopped. Yeah. They put their $4 million quarterback on the shelf, and they're just playing bully ball. They we just badmouthed Bud Elliott, but he brought up a great point that Miami has some of the tightest offensive line splits in the country. They're basically foot to foot and push, as I think is what he said. The Iowa is a similar team. They're the second tightest splits. The offensive line is the most condensed.
Right.
But Miami loves a north to south running game, and they just love with a huge offensive line. I don't care how big that offensive line is. Like that narrative is going around. I care about when I turn on the tape and I watch those dudes block, I get excited. Like that is people. A fun team to watch if you like violent, physical, murder ball football.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a huge challenge for the Hoosiers. And everyone knows that Indiana does a ton of stunts and twists up front, and we do them in a very unique kind of way, not to just do them, but there is a severe understanding of how every single thing that a player is doing impacts and is involved in the chess match of the game. Brian Haynes discusses his defense and talks about it in terms of angles. He sees the games in terms of angles and generating angles, and he views the way that he designs pressure packages in the way that an offensive line coach or a run game coordinator designs blocking for a run. He's trying to block offensive linemen in order to get one of his guys into the gap against the runner. And Miami is just in a position to where they might be able, of all of the teams that Indiana's faced in this tournament and in all the teams that Indiana's faced since the level of play has just continued to skyrocket, Miami is the one that can probably crease a couple of these stunts and just get some deep penetration and just rattle off 5 and 7 and 9 yard runs. And you watch that end of that Fiesta Bowl game and the infamous shot of the defensive, I think it was a defensive end that was stunting inside for Ole Miss, who gets shoved to the ground and he just decides to sit there. And he sits there exhausted as Carson Beck, Sid the Sloth from Ice Age, just waddles his way into the end zone to win the game. That is what Miami wants to do to you every game. They want to beat the crap out of you and have you giving up, sitting on the ground, and just rub it in your face at the end. And I have to respect that. I have to really like that. I do think that Indiana, just from the execution standpoint, makes fewer mistakes. I think that we have a higher likelihood of being explosive in this game. But it is going, I don't think we cover. I think it's going to be a tight game. On our show, I did 24-23, mostly because I chronically have to anticipate a close game. You look back at all of my score predictions for this run, they've all been very close for all these opponents because I can't help but just respect each and every one of them in the way that they play. And Miami is probably the team in this playoff, other than the G5 teams, that is best built to attack Indiana. Well, the G5 teams wouldn't be able to, hold the candle. But
no, I know what you're saying. Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for coming on. Check out the All For You pod. It's great Indiana content. And they will be, I'm sure very, celebrating, should Indiana win. And, honestly, win or lose Monday, like this has been a season for the ages.
Been a blast. Yeah.
So I think there's no, like, obviously we think, we'll talk about, there's a good chance Indiana's going to win, but even for some reason, should Indiana fall, this has been an amazing season regardless, but I'm assuming they're going to win because that's kind of what they do. 15 and
yes.
So we'll go with that. Thanks so much for being on the show, and we will see you later.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, and good luck.
Yep, thanks.
Wow.
Awesome, man. Well, that was great.
Yeah, lots of really good information and lots of really interesting stories, especially, obviously B-Town Bucket Boy, listening to him and the things that he has to say. Obviously his analysis and everything like that is always great and very detailed. But, listening to, Mama Kamish and listening to her and just how long she's been around to watch this team, mostly go through a lot of valleys and some that continue to go further and further down than you didn't think were possible. And then to see it, essentially reach the mountaintop, I mean, is astounding. I mean, what an amazing experience after sticking with the team for that amount of time. And then to, finally see some payoff. I mean, that's quite an experience.
Oh yeah. I think about super fans like Sherry and Vince who have had season tickets since the 70s, man.
Yep.
and like seeing a lot more down than up, and now they're on top of the whole world. So it just shows it can happen. It's really exciting.
Yeah.
Let me get caught up on a couple comments. Nittany Nation Mish says hiring assistants with a lot of success at small schools is a very good strategy. A guy from Texas might not be able to find any under the radar guys who are good. And I agree. That's why get the people who win no matter what job they're at.
Yeah.
Get winners. The guys who find ways to win, that usually translates as you go up. David L says you have to see the video of the guy who impersonated Mendoza if he was your waiter. Very funny. I could see Fernando Mendoza being a very attentive waiter. I see him a lot of water refills.
Yes. Yes.
Being really polite.
Oh yeah.
Like a little confused when you ask to go off menu, but he handles it seamlessly.
He'd earn a good tip. Yeah, I would
absolutely,
for sure. Yeah. Quality.
And then G Rocca says Miami hasn't picked up a QB to replace Beck. Do you think Miami will try to poach Alberto Mendoza to be QB1? Alberto's from Miami. His dad played with the Miami head coach. So here's the thing about Alberto. The word is that he is not as talented as Fernando. They straight up say that he's not the same kind of athlete that Fernando is, the same kind of player. So I don't think Miami would target him to be their starting quarterback. I think Alberto will probably stay in Miami and be QB2 again, or else I could see him transferring down maybe to a group of 5 or FCS team even, depending on if he wants to play or if he wants to stay around and be the backup quarterback for Cignetti. So he's got a good gig. It's good to be the backup quarterback. Live that Alex Moran life. And there are worse things to be doing. So, John, we have a national title game to talk about here.
Man. I mean, this is for everything. And, I honestly, I mean, I knew I was going to be talking about a Big Ten team. I did.
Yep.
Even from the offseason, we talked about it. We knew the Big Ten was going to be back in the national title. And it's not that Indiana was not in consideration or a team that we talked about, but it was not the team that we talked about to make it to the national title. And here we are. And Indiana did, not that we were not one of those podcasts or pundits or whatever out there that were saying, it was just a one-off for Indiana. Like, they're not going to be that good. They're going to lose everybody, blah, blah, blah.
No, I thought they were going to win 9 or 10 games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, so we thought they would be great which is still great. And like, we also, we understood that Kurt Cignetti, who Kurt Cignetti was, and therefore like this team is going to be competitive and more or less going to be excellent more years than not. And, I know a lot of others were pretty much, were kind of saying otherwise or just, expecting this to kind of take a real dive. And it did not. And we did not say that, but we also did not pick Indiana to be in the national title game. So,
I mean, nobody did really.
No.
Even Hoosier fans, I don't think in their heart of hearts would say they did.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's like, it's the single greatest 2-year run in modern college football that anyone's ever had.
It's incredible, man.
From the depths of we talked about the struggles they've had to go from that to these soaring heights. I mean, 27-2 in 2 years or whatever. I mean, that's just bananas. It's bananas crazy.
Well, I also I know that you and I have had this conversation and other people have commented and said, that this is as far as like just one of the greatest turnarounds in sports history.
Yes.
Yes, there are other examples of something faster, like a baseball team that went from 1 year being the worst in the league to winning a World Series. Like I think it was the Atlanta Braves in the 1992 or something like that. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But but that's a different game. It's a different sport. It's different. It like in baseball, you can buy a national title team at any point in time. And not that Indiana did not do that to a degree, but there's still so many more factors that go into it. And so when it comes to college football. And so you just have to give them their props, man. And to me, this is amazing. One of the best, not only like in modern college football history, like one of the most amazing things to be ever accomplished, but like in sports history, period.
Yes.
So
full stop. Yeah. This is like the miracle on ice. This is like the first time the U.S. women won the World Cup. This is like when we realized Serena Williams was just going to be better than everyone who had ever come before her. Like it's like that kind of moment.
Yep.
just generational.
And we have to talk about, I know we've already talked about Kurt Zigneti, but like, this is a journeyman who has been in the game forever. Like he's been around forever and just bouncing around here, there, whatever, really low level schools, like, for in a lot of ways.
Elon, IUP,
but won everywhere he went. And then all of a sudden,
one big
late
everywhere,
in his career is like solidified himself as a Hall of Famer.
Yes. Oh, he's already a Hall of Famer.
Yep.
Even if he loses on Monday.
Yep.
No one's ever going to forget this run.
Nope.
It's one, and most national titles can be somewhat forgettable in one way or another, but this one, man, this is crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. David L in the chat says there are schools in Indiana canceling school on Tuesday, as they should. David, that's the way it should be. Cancel make or at least delay it. At least give those kids till like 10.
Just do the same for work. And first off, let's just mention briefly the fact that the national title game is on Monday. We've talked about it before, but it's
such a joke. It's such a joke to have the national title game on a Monday. This sport is made to be played on Saturdays. And it comes down to they're scared of the NFL.
Yep.
Scared of the NFL, and they're afraid. And I'm just like, you're still going to get great ratings.
Yeah.
But and on a Monday, let's be real. What are the second half ratings like when everybody has to go to bed because they have work or school the next day? Are they as good as they would be if you played it at 4:00 on a Saturday?
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think they are.
Yeah.
I don't think they are.
I'm with you.
So I think it's self-defeating. I think it's dumb to play, the championship of our sport on a Monday. I like to make the joke that I'm tired of coming out with excuses to have to miss school to miss work when there's a national title going on.
Yeah.
But this year it is MLK Day. So it worked out for some people who want to watch all the pregame stuff. And I do want to watch all the pregame stuff because again, this is such a crazy title game. I don't think anyone would have picked these two teams. I mean, Miami lost 2 games, man.
Yeah.
They lost 2 games this year and they are right here doing kind of like what Ohio State did last year, catching lightning in a bottle at the right time. And just, not hammering teams the way Ohio State was, but they're reminiscent of like a Michigan in 2023. They're just a power FU football team that's going to run the ball. They're going to get their playmakers the ball in space. And should we start talking about this game?
I think we should. Yes. Let's break it down.
So this will be Monday, January 19th, this coming Monday. The number 10. Oh, sorry. This is a 6:30 p.m. game on ESPN. The line is Indiana by 8.5. I think it started at 6.5. It's now at 8.5. So you can tell the money is coming in on Indiana largely. The 13-2, number 10 ranked Miami Hurricanes playing against your number 1 ranked 15-0 Indiana Hoosiers. This game, John, is, like all games, is a game of matchups.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think about, it's crazy. Miami, like we said, lost to Louisville and SMU. Well, Indiana has not, they haven't lost any games. They haven't had that experience. So, there is some question, what will they do in a close game? But they were in close games against Oregon the first time, against Ohio State. And, and they managed to win those games. And against Penn State, close game, and they managed to pull them out. And now they're just playing at the highest level they've played at all year. I'm really interested in the Indiana run game versus the Miami defense. Because here's the thing. What Miami needs, if they're going to be successful, they need to get to Fernando Mendoza, and they need to cause him to make mistakes or force turnovers.
Yeah.
And if Indiana can run the ball, then Fernando Mendoza doesn't have to throw it that often. And if Fernando Mendoza doesn't have to throw it that often, then it's really hard to apply pressure consistently.
Yeah.
Because they're running the ball and gashing you and getting at you up front. Miami was 5th in run defense this year against inside run plays, which is what Indiana specializes in. Indiana likes to get downhill without any east-west action. It's all about maximizing yards inside. It's interesting, kind of what Ryan said about Miami's run game is also true of Indiana's run game. they want to get upfield, get north and south, try to power you, be physical, and get whatever holes there are, try to maximize those, get a few yards, and get to where you're in second and third and manageable. So my question is, can the Indiana O-line once again run for 200 plus yards against Miami? If they can, I think it's going to be really hard for Miami to win this game. I think it's going to be really hard for Miami to win this game if Indiana can run the ball and can get 4 or 5 yards of carry, and get in second and third and short and let Fernando Mendoza do what he does, in advantageous situations all the time. They need Fernando Mendoza in like 3rd and 12. Yeah.
Which, you got players like, tell me if I'm mispronouncing his name, Mesidor,
yeah. Akeem Mesidor and Ruben Bain.
Yeah, they definitely have a pass rush that's
Ahmad Moton in the middle.
There's a lot of effectiveness in that pass rush and able to contain the the quarterback and what have you. And I think they're going to be able to do that at times because that defensive line is elite. It's outstanding.
They're incredible.
Yeah. Where if somehow they're able to get, Indiana's able to get the run game going though, and it's not to say this is not at all I'm just splitting hairs here talking about, Miami's linebacker core, it's a little bit softer, and by just a little in a way.
You're right. The Miami linebackers depend on the defensive line making it easy for them to make tackles.
And if that D line is allowing the run blocking to open some lanes, then it's going to be a long day for Miami, because I do think that if they can get into that second level, then it's going to be hard. And I'm not saying that that Miami or Indiana is going to be able to pull off a bunch of long runs, but if they can continuously get 5, 6, 7 yards of carry, it's going to be a long day.
If Hemby and Black can get going, man, it's going to be really hard for Miami, because I just think it's going to be hard. It's hard to get to Mendoza when he only has to throw downfield when he wants to, not when he has to.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's a big deal as well. In the passing game, Miami has the best pass rush in college football. Can they rattle the Heisman winner Fernando Mendoza? Miami is first in pass rush win grade and first in sacks on the year at 54. In the playoff, they've gotten pressure on 40% of opponent pass dropbacks the last 2 games. So that's really impressive.
Yep.
But that said, Indiana's 16th in the country in pass blocking, and Carter Smith at tackle is 2nd in the country in pass blocking.
Yep.
That's really big, protecting Fernando Mendoza at tackle in that pocket. IU has had some issues protecting Mendoza against elite competition, but when they have, he's just run away from the problem and either thrown it downfield or scrambled for a first down.
Yeah.
So it hasn't really been a problem. Can they get to him and make it a problem? And then I look at, will Indiana in the chess match, will Indiana help their O-line with extra tight ends and running backs to block Miami's D-line? I think you do that. I think you send out just 3 receivers most time, and you keep a running back and a tight end in the block to make sure that Fernando Mendoza has that time, because your receivers are winning downfield. They just are.
And they're going to. I think they're going to continue to. That was going to be my next point, though.
Especially with Xavier Lucas out for the first half.
It's that, and I just think they just have too many weapons, man. Every time you think that Indiana doesn't have another receiver that can make plays, they have another receiver that can make plays. They do. And you also, again, we've already, talked about Fernando Mendoza, but, talking about his football IQ, and as they, as our guest said, he's a nerd, whatever. He is. His football IQ is insane, which the game slows down for him. And you can see it. You can see, and he sees the entire field. He knows where everyone's at. He knows exactly how to read his plays. And that's why I just think the edge with the fact that that Indiana has the ability to have a pretty solid run game and has the ability to have a fantastic pass game. I just think there's more going against Miami, where yes, Miami has one of the best defensive lines in the country, and their defense overall is excellent, no doubt about it. But we've seen Indiana and Fernando Mendoza pick apart top-notch elite defenses this season already. So I'm just saying I have to lean Indiana on this. I think that, it's not saying that Miami can't find a way to win. They absolutely could. They could wear them down, especially if Fletcher Jr. has a really good day. Like that's going to be long. That will be a long, hard day for that Indiana defense. And eventually, if he continues to find success, it'll wear them down. And the second half could get a little dicey. But do I really see that happening? No. I think Indiana's just rolling on all cylinders, and I'm not entirely sure who or if anybody can actually slow them down or stop them. At least stop them. They can slow them down, but I don't think you can stop them.
I look at this Miami defense, and they blitz a lot, like top 20 rate in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And their nickelback, Keontae Scott, is often the guy that they're blitzing with.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to come off the edge or be in gaps. It's unpredictable where he's coming from. They have to keep an eye on him. They have to locate him every play and block him.
Yeah.
Because he's the kind of guy who can force a turnover any play. And the thing with Indiana is, so Miami, look, Carson Beck can't really throw it downfield since his arm injury.
Yeah.
When he does, he has to throw lollipops. He has to throw with a lot of arc in the air, which you can do and get away with in college sometimes. In the NFL, that's harder.
Yeah.
But in college, you can get away with that sometimes, but it's hard. They don't throw it deep downfield. Miami throws it very short passes, and it's a lot of like wide receiver screens and like RPO slants and hitches, and just get your guy the ball in space, let him try to make somebody miss, and try to get blocks on the edge. And that's it. It's not that complicated.
Yep.
It's a pretty conservative type of offense. So, you think theoretically they shouldn't turn it over that much, except for when they have to throw it down the field. And then I worry about Carson Beck throwing it down the field against this Indiana secondary with guys like D'Angelo Pons back there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Miami can be in this game. I think they can play in this game. Can they bust? Indiana's the best tackling team in the country.
Yeah.
Can Miami break deep ones off their RPOs, off their screens? Can guys like Malachi Toney make people miss in space? And if they can if he can, then Miami can win this game. We saw Malachi Toney take a tunnel screen and house it against Ole Miss. If they can do that kind of stuff, they can break those off those big plays. They can absolutely win this game. I think that Miami needs to win their double teams on the interior to give Fletcher a chance to make a guy miss in space. And then Fletcher's got to do that. He's got to be his own blocker, and he's got to consistently make a guy miss. So, yes, Miami can win this game, but I think a lot of stuff has to go right.
Yeah.
And I think Ryan, respectfully, is underrating his own offensive and defensive lines. I don't think Miami is like a big bully. Like, yes, they are big physically, but I don't think they're any better up front than Indiana is, really. Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit better up front, but Indiana's still very good up front is what I'm trying to say.
That's how I feel, man. Like, that's why I'm saying, like, I don't think that I'm not trying to not give Miami credit, especially up front.
No, they're fantastic up front. They have great skill players. They have a really good defense.
But, like, we've seen them face these types of defenses already more than once.
Yeah.
And so how can you count them? I don't see how you can pick against Indiana right now. Sure.
You're not with Josh Pate. Josh Pate picked Miami.
Well, of course he did, because like
he's
not going to pick anybody in the Big
Someone
Ten.
said he signed with ESPN, and I didn't even check to see if it's true, but it just would make so much sense to me.
It would make absolutely, and that's why I do think look, man, he does not want to see the Big Ten win again.
Somebody did a compilation video of him picking against Indiana all year. It's hilarious. It's like game by game, and it's like 6 games of him being like, I don't think Indiana's good enough, and then they show the score.
He's such an idiot.
It's really funny. Yeah, he's a shill. He's a shill. And he's been exposed this year. All the people who thought that they knew more ball than like your average, your humble YouTubers here. All those people picked Alabama to beat Indiana. We didn't.
Nope.
We didn't, because we knew. We knew that the Signetti train was coming. Now, I didn't know it was going to be 38-3, but I knew it was coming down the tracks. And, dude, sometimes there's just teams of destiny. And this Indiana team is very much a team of destiny. David L in the chat says, I'm concerned about the refs. Miami's likely to get late hits, etc. If those plays don't get called, advantage Miami. See, I think that's a good point, but Cignetti's teams don't respond to that.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get chippy in response. They get even on the next play.
Yep.
So I just think like you can try to do that stuff, but I think any antics from Miami is going to hurt them more than it helps them.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to get Indiana to drop to their, to play that game and suddenly, have guys having a bunch of unsportsmanlike conduct penalties or anything. That hasn't been Indiana's, identity all year. I don't think it's going to change now.
Yeah. That's where I'm at. That discipline is just, it's insane, man. So, yeah.
So what do you have? What's your score?
Gosh, man. I mean, I think I think it's going to be close in the first half. I think that you're going to see some flashes from Miami. I think you're going to see, Fletcher maybe get a little, momentum here and there, and it's going to look like, okay, Miami's making this a game. But you're still not going to see Indiana make any mistakes. And it may look like they're coming out slow, but I don't think they are. I think they're still in control. I still think that, the score might be close. It might be 10-13 at half, right?
But you're going to know what's happening. You're going to feel it.
Yep. They're not going to walk in. There's not going to be any nerve. Obviously as a fan, sure, I get it. But like, I still think you're going to look at that game, even at the half with the score being that close, and you're not going to be like, oh man, I don't know. Miami looks like they could be making a run now.
Yeah.
And I think Indiana they go in, they reevaluate. Cignetti does what Cignetti does. Fernando Mendoza does what Fernando Mendoza does. And, maybe they come out real hot with a really nice drive right away in the third quarter. It might slow down a little bit then again, Miami adjusts, but then either late third quarter, early fourth quarter, like it's just Indiana goes up by 2 scores and that's game. So I have Indiana. Gosh, man, it's really I want to pick higher than what I think is realistic because I just trust in this offense so much.
Yeah,
but I think I'm going to pick Indiana 31, Miami 20.
I was just like, don't say my score out loud, John. Damn it. You kidding me? I was literally like, don't say 31. I'm going to say 31. Okay. Don't say 20. I'm going to say yeah, I think it's 2 scores.
Yeah.
I think it's close, maybe closer than you think. I think maybe into the fourth quarter, it's a 1-score game.
Okay.
But like at the end of the day, we're lining up, and as good as Miami is, and they're great up front.
Yep.
It's Fernando Mendoza versus Carson Beck, and it's Kurt Cignetti versus Mario Cristobal.
Yeah.
And I just trust Cignetti more, man. I just trust that Cignetti is going to make the right play, the right adjustment in the right moment. I think about that Iowa game where they caught them on the cover 0 blitz and like Elijah Surratt ran for the touchdown, or against Ohio State when they went for that deep pass, on third down to ice it.
Yep.
They've just had that been able to go for the jugular at the right time. And I think that's a skill you learn over time, and Indiana has refined it.
Yep.
So I think it's a good game. I think Indiana gets punched in the mouth. I think Miami runs the ball in the first half.
Yeah. Sure.
Then I think Indiana adjusts.
Yeah.
And they figure out what they're doing, and their linebackers go back. I think they might struggle early, the linebackers in space, but I think they'll get better as the game goes on at making tackles in space. And that's what it comes down to, man. It's blocking and tackling. If Indiana can tackle in space, they're going to win the national title. The Indiana Hoosiers, national champions. Oh, crazy time. Crazy times. It's really exciting.
It is. And for what, third year in a row with a different Big Ten team?
A third different Big Ten team. This would be the third consecutive Big Ten title. You tell me that's not staying power. They always said, oh, it's just Ohio State. Well, it's not just Ohio State anymore.
Yep.
It's a lot of other teams too.
So
they're all coming for you.
If that happens, I mean, what? I mean, it's gonna be. Is ESPN just gonna like go off the air? Like we're gonna see like the standby and like those bars.
It's just
like,
gonna be like
just
the yeah. You're just gonna just like just like static. I mean, I think they have to, they have to acknowledge it. The question is, I think the big question is, are they going to come back and try to piss on our legs in 2 months or 3 months and try to tell us there should be 10 preseason SEC teams again? And point to all, and if they do, we're just, I don't know, man. I don't know if we need to put out our own rankings. I don't know what we have to do, but like, I'm not accepting any rankings that overrate SEC teams again. Like that's why we don't believe in ranking anybody until you're like a month into the season.
And honestly, dude, I think that's most people nowadays.
Yes.
Because everyone's sick of it. Everyone is so
tired
sick of it because this has been going on for far too long.
20 years.
And I think we're all just at a point where it's like, we're tired of seeing all these teams, especially that are voted in by AP voters that are, as we have established many, many, many times now for like the last 3 years, 2 years, whatever, that they are so lazy. And they all go by what ESPN tells them because that's just what they've been used to doing for the past 20 plus years, whatever.
Yep.
And like, so, as we well know, it's an issue and a problem across the board in this country as far as just people learning how to create their own opinions and doing their own research, no matter what it is. But it's very evident and blatant in college football. So
a lot of the emperor wears no clothes.
But so I don't see how you can defend it. I don't see how you can deny it. And again,
the Big Ten needs to have the most ranked teams go. If Indiana wins on Monday, which I think they're gonna, the Big Ten needs to have the most ranked teams going into next season. Full stop.
Yeah.
Or else they're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Or else they're doing it wrong. Because the Big Ten has earned that over the last 3 years, outperforming the SEC during the regular season and then especially in the postseason.
Yeah.
And that's what we count. That's what matters in this sport, like it or not. Like we count up the postseason, we take it seriously.
That's the way it should be. And like, and
if the SEC says it means more, then prove it means more and show up and win those games.
And bowl games do matter. I don't care what anybody says. I know that that's like the popular narrative. Even people who win bowl games but aren't going to national titles or whatever.
No, it absolutely matters. And the better team usually wins the bowl game.
So, yeah, man.
Because there are opt-outs on both sides.
I think the Big Ten has surpassed the SEC. And I don't think there's an argument against it. A legitimate one anyways.
No.
It's just the way it is.
At all. Yeah.
So, and obviously there isn't an SEC team in this national title game. So even still, like even if Indiana loses,
no SEC team. Yeah, even if they lose, the Big Ten should still, you're right, have the most ranked teams going into next season.
Yes.
No question.
Yep.
And we are going to be banging that drum the whole offseason because we're taking a victory lap.
That's right.
We were right. Josh Pate and Bud Elliott and Tom Fernelli and even Bill Connolly, you were all wrong.
Yep.
The Big Ten was better than the SEC. It was better all year.
Yep.
And now that's been proven in the postseason. Thank you very much. I will not be taking any further questions at this time.
There you go. Excellent.
All right. John, when will we be back to talk about the national title game?
I guess obviously next week at some point in time.
Yeah.
I'm thinking for me, maybe Wednesday.
Okay, we can do Wednesday. We can figure that out.
Yeah. Let's shoot for that.
All right, we'll be back.
We'll let
next
everybody
Wednesday.
know.
Yeah, we'll let people know on Twitter what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
And I hope everyone, hey, it's the last college football we have until August, late August. So enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if your team's not in it, like ours isn't, enjoy the football because college football is glorious, and we get one more game of it. It's a national title with two great teams, and I'm pumped about it.
Heck yeah.
All right, man. Thanks, everybody. And we will see you in the next one. All right, everybody. Take care.